Eid al-Adha, also called the Sacrifice Feast or Bakr-Eid, is the second of two Muslim holidays celebrated worldwide each year, and considered the holier of the two. It honors the willingness of Ibrahim to sacrifice his son, as an act of submission to God's command, before God then intervened through his angel Jibra'il and informs him that his sacrifice has already been accepted. The meat from the sacrificed animal is preferred to be divided into 3 parts. The family retains 1/3 of the share, another third is given to relatives, friends and neighbors, and the remaining third is given to the poor and needy. In the Islamic lunar calendar, Eid al-Adha falls on the 10th day of Dhu al-Hijjah and lasts for 4 days. In the international calendar, the dates vary from year to year, drifting approximately 11 days earlier each year. Eid al-Adha is the latter of the 2 Eid holidays, the former being Eid al-Fitr. The word Eid appears once in Al-Ma'idah, the 5th surah of the Quran, with the meaning solemn festival. Like Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha begins with a sunnah prayer of 2 rakats followed by a sermon. Eid al-Adha celebrations start after the descent of the Hujjaj, the pilgrims performing the Hajj, from Mount Arafat, a hill east of Mecca. Eid sacrifice may take place until sunset on the 13th day of Dhu al-Hijjah. The days of Eid have been singled out in the Hadith as days of remembrance, and considered the holiest days in the Islamic calendar. The Takbir of Tashrika from the Fajr prayer of the 9th of Dhu al-Hijjah up to the Asr prayer of the 13th of Dhu al-Hijjah. This equals 23 prayers, 5 on the 9th, 12th, which equals 20, and 3 on the 13th. Other names. The Arabic term Festival of the Sacrifice, Eid al-Adha, is borrowed into Indo-Aryan languages such as Urdu, Hindi, Bengali, Gujarati, and Austronesian languages such as Malay and Indonesian. Another Arabic word for sacrifice is qurbani. The Semitic root qurbi means to be close to someone, something. Other words from the root include qarab, close, and keravim, relatives. The senses of root meaning to offer suggest that the act of offering brings one closer to the receiver of the offering. The same stem is found in Hebrew and, for example, in the Akkadian language nanakrabtu, act of offering. Both Hebrew and Arabic stem from Aramaic. Eid al-Kabir, an Arabic term meaning the Greater Eid, is used in Yemen, Syria, and North Africa. The term was borrowed directly into French as Eid al-Kabir. Translations of Big Eid or Greater Eid are used in Pashto, Kashmiri, Urdu and Hindi, Tamil and Malayalam. Albanian, however, uses Bajramai Vogel or the Lesser Eid as an alternative reference to Eid al-Adha. The festival is also called Bakr-Eid in Urdu and Hindustani languages, stemming from the Arabic word al-Baqarah meaning the cow, although some have wrongly attributed it to the Urdu and Hindustani word Bakri, meaning goat, because of the tradition of sacrificing a goat in South Asia on this festival. This term is also borrowed into other Indian languages, such as Tamil _d Peru. Some names refer to the fact that the holiday occurs after the culmination of the annual Hajj. Such names are used in Malaysian and Indonesian and Tamil. It's also known as Eid al-Baqarah in Egypt, Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East, as Eid-i-Kurban in Iran, Kurban Bayram in Turkey, Bakr-Eid in India, Pakistan and Trinidad, Eid el-Kabir in Morocco, Tfaskatamokart in the Berber language of Jerba, Eid al-Adha in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia and the Philippines, Qurbani Eid in Bangladesh, Bakr-Eid in parts of Pakistan and India and Tabaski in Senegal and West Africa, Baba Sala in Hausa language, Pagdiriwang en Sacrificio in Filipino and Sida Goraka in Somali. Eid al-Adha has had other names outside the Muslim world. The name is often simply translated into the local language, such as English Feast of the Sacrifice, German Opferfest, Dutch Offerfest, Romanian Sarbata area Sacrifice Yalui, and Hungarian Aldos RT Unnep. In Spanish it is known as Fiesta del Cordero or Fiesta del Borrego. Origin. According to Islamic tradition, the Valley of Mecca was a dry, rocky, and uninhabited place. God instructed Abraham to bring Hagar, his Arabian wife, and Ishmael to the Arabia from the land of Canaan. As Abraham was preparing for his return journey back to Canaan, Hagar asked him, "Did God order you to leave us here, or are you leaving us here to die?" Abraham did not even look back. He just nodded, afraid that he would be too saddened that he would disobey God. Hagar said, "Then God will not waste us, you can go." Though Abraham had left a large quantity of food and water with Hagar and Ishmael, the supplies quickly ran out, and within a few days the two began to feel the pangs of hunger and dehydration. Hagar ran up and down between two hills, Al-Safa and Al-Marwa, 7 times, in her desperate quest for water. Exhausted, she finally collapsed beside her baby Ishmael and prayed to God for deliverance. Miraculously, a spring of water gushed forth from the earth at the feet of baby Ishmael. Other accounts have the angel Jibra'il striking the earth and causing the spring to flow in abundance. With this secure water supply, known as the Zamzam well, they were not only able to provide for their own needs, but were also able to trade water with passing nomads for food and supplies. Years later, Abraham was instructed by God to return from Canaan to build a place of worship adjacent to Hagar's well. Abraham and Ishmael constructed a stone and mortar structure known as the Kaaba, which was to be the gathering place for all who wished to strengthen the faith in God. As the years passed, Ishmael was blessed with Nubuwwah and gave the nomads of the desert his message of submission to God. After many centuries, Mecca became a thriving desert city and a major center for trade, thanks to its reliable water source, the Zamzam well. One of the main trials of Abraham's life was to face the command of God to sacrifice his dearest possession, his son. The son is not named in the Quran, but most modern Muslims believe it to be Ishmael. Upon hearing this command, Abraham prepared to submit to the will of God. During this preparation, Shaitan tempted Abraham and his family by trying to dissuade them from carrying out God's commandment, and Abraham drove Satan away by throwing pebbles at him. In commemoration of the rejection of Satan, stones are thrown at symbolic pillars during the stoning of the devil during Hajj rites. When Abraham attempted to cut his throat, he was astonished to see that his son was unharmed, and instead, he found a dead ram which was slaughtered. Abraham had passed the test by his willingness to carry out God's command. This is mentioned in the Quran as follows: Abraham had shown that his love for God superseded all others, that he would lay down his own life for the lives of those dearest to him in submission to God's command. Muslims commemorate this ultimate act of sacrifice every year during Eid al-Adha. While Abraham was prepared to make an ultimate sacrifice, God ultimately prevents the sacrifice, additionally signifying that one should never sacrifice a human life, especially not in the name of God. Eid prayers. Devotees offer the Eid al-Adha prayers at the mosque. Who must attend according to some fiqh, men should go to mosque or Eidgah to perform Eid prayer. Salat al-Eid is wajib according to Hanafi and Shia scholars. Sunnah al-Muqaddar according to Maliki and Shafi'i jurisprudence. Women are also highly encouraged to attend, although it is not compulsory. Menstruating women do not participate in the formal prayer, but should be present to witness the goodness and the gathering of the Muslims. Residents, which excludes travelers. Those in good health. When is it performed? The Eid al-Adha prayer is performed any time after the sun completely rises up to just before the entering of Zuhr time, on the 10th of Dhul-Hijjah. In the event of a force majeure, the prayer may be delayed to the 11th of Dhul-Hijjah and then to the 12th of Dhul-Hijjah. The sunnah of preparation. In keeping with the sunnah of Muhammad, Muslims are encouraged to prepare themselves for the occasion of Eid. Below is a list of things Muslims are recommended to do in preparation for the Eid al-Adha festival. Make wudu and offer salat al-Fajr. Prepare for personal cleanliness. Take care of details of clothing, etc. Dress up, putting on newer best clothes available. Rites of the Eid prayers. The scholars differed concerning the ruling on Eid prayers. There are three scholarly points of view. That Eid prayer is fard kifaya. This is the view of Abu Hanifa. That it is sunnah muakkada. This is the view of Malik ibn Anas and al-Shafi'i. That it is wajib on all Muslim men. Those who do not do it without an excuse are considered sinners. This is the view of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and was also narrated from Abu Hanifa. Eid prayers must be offered in congregation. It consists of 2 rakats with 7 takbirs in the first rak'ah and 5 takbirs in the second rak'ah. For Sunni Muslims, Salat al-Eid differs from the 5 daily canonical prayers in that no adhan or iqamah is pronounced for the 2 Eid prayers. The Salat is then followed by the khutbah or sermon by the Imam. At the conclusion of the prayers and sermon, Muslims embrace and exchange greetings with one another, give gifts to children, and visit one another. Many Muslims also take this opportunity to invite their non-Muslim friends, neighbors, co-workers and classmates to their Eid festivities to better acquaint them about Islam and Muslim culture. The takbir and other rites. The takbir is recited from the dawn of the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah to the 13th, and consists of multiple variations of this recitation exist across the Muslim world. Traditions and practices. Men, women, and children are expected to dress in the finest clothing to perform Eid prayer in a large congregation in an open waqf field called Eidgah or mosque. Affluent Muslims who can afford it sacrifice the best halal domestic animals as a symbol of Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his only son. The sacrificed animals, called adiyah, known also by the Perso-Arabic term kurbani, have to meet certain age and quality standards, or else the animal is considered an unacceptable sacrifice. This tradition accounts for the slaughter of more than 100 million animals in only 2 days of Eid. In Pakistan alone, nearly 10 million animals are slaughtered on Eid days, costing over $3 billion. The meat from the sacrificed animal is preferred to be divided into 3 parts. The family retains 1/3 of the share, another third is given to relatives, friends, and neighbors, and the remaining third is given to the poor and needy, though the division is purely optional, wherein either all the meat may be kept with oneself or may be given away to poor and needy. The preferred method as per Sunnah of Muhammad is dividing it in 3 parts. The regular charitable practices of the Muslim community are demonstrated during Eid al-Adha by concerted efforts to see that no impoverished person is left without an opportunity to partake in the sacrificial meal during these days. Hajj is also performed in Saudi Arabia before Eid al-Adha, and millions of Muslims perform Hajj. On the event of Hajj, lots of Muslims slaughter animals and divide major part of the meat in the poor people. During Eid al-Adha, distributing meat amongst the people, chanting the takbir out loud before the Eid prayers on the first day and after prayers throughout the 4 days of Eid, are considered essential parts of this important Islamic festival. In some countries, families that do not own livestock can make a contribution to a charity that will provide meat to those who are in need. Eid al-Adha in the Gregorian calendar. While Eid al-Adha is always on the same day of the Islamic calendar, The date on the Gregorian calendar varies from year to year since the Islamic calendar is a lunar calendar and the Gregorian calendar is a solar calendar. The lunar calendar is approximately 11 days shorter than the solar calendar. Each year, Eid al-Adha falls on one of about 2 to 4 different Gregorian dates in different parts of the world, because the boundary of crescent visibility is different from the international dateline. The following list shows the official dates of Eid al-Adha for Saudi Arabia as announced by the Supreme Judicial Council. Future dates are estimated according to the al-Qur'an calendar of Saudi Arabia. However, it should be noted that the al-Qur'an is just a guide for planning purposes and not the absolute determinant or fixer of dates. Confirmations of actual dates by moon sighting are applied on the 29th day of the lunar month prior to Thu al-Hijjah to announce the specific dates for both Hajj rituals and the subsequent Eid festival. The 3 days after the listed date are also part of the festival. The time before the listed date the pilgrims visit the Mount Arafat and descend from it after sunrise of the listed day. Future dates of Eid al-Adha might face correction 10 days before the festivity, in case of deviant lunar sighting in Saudi Arabia and Pakistan for the start of the month Dhu al-Hijjah. In many countries, the start of any lunar Hijri month varies based on the observation of new moon by local religious authorities, so the exact day of celebration varies by locality.